Hello, welcome to the final episode of Rants Without Pants, which you can watch on shophead.blogspot.com, bloggingblue.com, or Dane101.com. My name is Adam Schabow. You may know me from the Madison Milwaukee power pop band The Shabows, or as the person who shamefully plugs his own band. After 60 episodes of clunky editing, lame humor, and alienating and pissing off pretty much everyone I know, Rants Without Pants is ending. And today is its last show. Now at the end of this program, we'll have a goodbye video that will include this. Of course, I'll also be letting you in on what my next adventure is going to be. So please stick around. Now it's fitting that my last interview is with Zach Wisniewski, who is the founder of Blogging Blue, and who is also running for alderman in Cudahy. He was one of the most supportive people early on when he came to this show. Anyway, Zach's awesome, and here's the interview. We're here with Zach Wisniewski. He is an editor, founder of Blogging Blue.
Correct.
And then he's also running as an alderman for Cudahy. I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad you're here on my last episode.
I'm happy to be here on your last episode.
Because Zach emailed me at one point in time, and he asked for Rants Without Pants to be on Blogging Blue, and I really appreciated us being on there. It's been a good partnership. Anyways, so you have two big things kind of happening right now. So you're running for alderman. And you, just on WashingtonPost.com, what happened there?
We got named as one of the best state-based political blogs for Wisconsin. It was a bit of a surprise, but it was a big honor. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
It shows that we're doing some good work. So,
and
you're a part of that, actually.
Yeah. Well, but it's you and Ed, and you guys are. Ed is a monster. His writing is just so good.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But like I tell folks, I think that it's the sum of its parts. It's not any one person.
Right.
Sure, I kind of brought it into existence, and I was the main person for a long time. But I really look at it as a collaborative effort.
Right.
And I really do feel like each person's perspective adds something to the mix. It's kind of like baking a cake. You got to get the recipe just right. And I think that you with adding the video component of things has really kind of brought us up, and I love the humor. I'm really a fan of kind of mixing humor and politics, because I think that sometimes we take it too seriously.
Yeah. And I noticed when when I started reading Blogging Blue, it is a great website. Everyone should go to it, and it's really, there is a community there. You don't get a lot of trolls, and which sometimes can be a pain. It seems like there's really good, honest conversation.
Yeah,
in the comment sections.
I think that that's one of the things I'm pretty proud of. Is obviously we've had our share of difficulties with trolls and with people kind of crossing the line between good behavior and bad. But we've got a regular group of readers who have some of them have been commenting for years, and I always kind of viewed the blog as, my role as just being a facilitator of a dialogue. So, maybe I just post 2 lines of opinion or a link to a thought-provoking article, and then that sparks the discussion.
So this may seem like a generic question, but how did Blogging Blue get started? Because I do not know this.
It's actually kind of a funny story. I've always been pretty opinionated politically, and my wife, not so much. She's gotten much better over the years. She's really gone to great efforts to educate herself politically and kind of know what things are, what's going on out there. But she essentially got tired of me constantly talking about politics to her, because she didn't understand. And so she said, why don't you write about politics? Why don't you put it on the internet? Oh, this is what I'm going to do. And I put it up, and I think my first entry was about President Obama. It was in 2007.
I was going to ask when it was.
It's funny, it was essentially my wife and I and a couple other people reading, and it just blossomed from there.
What are some of your favorite moments with Blogging Blue where you were like, wow, this is really doing some good?
One is the Randy Hopper story.
Okay.
Randy Hopper was a Republican state senator from the Oshkosh, Fond du Lac area. And Randy Hopper had a mistress in addition to his wife. And it all came to light kind of during the protests. There were some folks protesting outside his home, and his wife came out and made a point to tell the protesters, he's not here, he's at his girlfriend's house. Yeah. And that kind of got me to thinking about it and trying to figure out who she was. And by process of elimination, I was kind of able to narrow it down. And myself and another blog, Malcontends, we actually broke the story about Randy Hopper's mistress and who she was.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and it crashed my site for a week. I think it was an important story, not because it was scandalous and salacious, but because, you know, Randy Hopper had run for the state senate as a family values Republican, and he talked a lot about his wife and his kids and his family, and I felt that it was pertinent to put out there that he didn't practice what he preached.
Don't be a hypocrite.
Exactly. Another one was just, you know, one thing I'm really proud of, you know, in relation to the blog is just the great people I've been able to meet as a result of it. You know, like you, for instance, and met so many great people because of the blog, you know, and so that's really been one of the most rewarding parts about it for me. You know, I really I've met some friends because of it. You know, Lisa Mux, for instance.
Yeah.
We're good friends, and it's because, you know, we kind of met through the blog.
What made you decide to throw your hat in the ring for alderman?
Well, the current alderman decided he didn't want to run for re-election, and so that prompted my wife and I to have a discussion about what I wanted to do and how I wanted to serve my community. And I've always been the type of person, you know, I was raised that if you see a problem and you're going to complain about a problem, you might as well try to get involved to do something about the problem. And Cudahy is a great place to live. My wife and I love it there. Our son has done well in the schools. We love our neighborhood. But it's a city that still has problems, like any other city does. And I decided to run because I wanted to be part of the solution. I wanted to use some of those relationships I've gained over the past few years to work for the betterment of Cudahy. You know, I want to. You know, one of the things I've been talking a lot about is the need to bring new businesses into the city to really make Cudahy a place people want to come and spend money, and also a place people want to live. You know, because when you bring in the coffee shops and the great restaurants and, you know, funky little retail shops, people want to live in a community that has a vibrant retail section, that has some manufacturing, that has, you know, that good mix of different things.
Now, this kind of goes along with what we were talking about before the camera started rolling here, is you were saying you thought Cudahy could be the next Bayview.
Yeah, and I don't think, you know, necessarily when I say that, you know, I don't think we need to replicate every store and every restaurant and every situation that Bayview has going on, but in the respect that I think when I look at Cudahy, my district, I should note, represents the Packard Avenue. Yeah. When you think of downtown Cudahy, it's Packard Avenue, which is my district. And you know, I look at that, and there's a lot of vacant storefronts. There's some really great businesses there, locally owned, and you know, that's the kind of thing I want to see more of. And when I talk about it being the next Bayview, I mean in the respect that, you know, we've got public transit, we've got access to parks. The community is extremely walkable. You can walk from one end of Cudahy to the other in an hour, maybe two. And so I think that we have a lot of the same assets that Bayview had, and Bayview was a blue-collar industrial part of the city.
Definitely was.
So there are a lot of parallels, I think, between Bayview and Cudahy. And so I think that if we follow that model and we reach out to the folks who've helped kind of bring Bayview back and learn from that example, I think that we could have a vibrant downtown that folks want to come and walk and spend money and spend a day.
Anything else you want to talk about with
you know,
either subjects?
I not really. I'd really like to just thank you for having me on. you know, I've been a fan of yours and your show for a while, and I think you've done great work. I'm excited to see what the next kind of progression for you is.
Thank you. And I wanted to, you know, not to make this a huge love fest, but I wanted to thank you as well for all the support that Blogging Blue and you have given me with Rants Without Pants, a stupid little silly, you know, video blog. So I appreciate that. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, so this pantsless endeavor of mine started back on May 17th of 2012 as sort of an experiment to highlight the reasons to recall our governor. This was what the first episode looked like. Starting today is posting a unique video every day until the election stating the reasons why I believe Governor Walker needs to be recalled. So recently I was asked what some of my favorite episodes were, moments within the 60 episodes, and I will say I love the episode that I posted the day before the recall where Martha and I went out on location and she filmed it. It was me making my final plea to the Wisconsinites. You need to go out and vote, because we can send a message on Tuesday to the national corporations and the ridiculously rich that are drooling over this race so they can clone it on a national level. Your tons and tons of money that you use for this governor will not affect us. We are smarter than you think we are. We are stronger than you think we are. We are more diverse than you think we are. You do not own us. We are not your experiment. We are not your lab rats. We are one Wisconsin, and we will do what's right, and we will win. Thank you. Of course, we also lost the election. But even though the election was over, I felt like I still had more ranting to do. So I just kept on doing it. I'm also really proud of the two-part musical episode, which I took the Broadway play How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and I fooled around with it a bit to fit the local and national election coverage.
Oh, that noble feeling feels like bells are pealing. Oh, aren't you proud to be in that fraternity? The great big brotherhood of
I also love the episode I just did interviewing Victoria Echevaria regarding gay marriage.
I think that it is a generational thing, and this sounds awful, but as the population gets older and there's more young people voting, like, it's really only a matter of time. Like, that's the way the future is going. And generally I try to make that clear to people and say, do you really want to be the last state on board? Like, in the annals of history, do you want to be the last state, like the one holdout, you know, that passed gay marriage last?
Then there was my interview with Dylan Brogan, who discussed being denied access to Ron Johnson, Mitt Romney event. Now, I really felt like we made some real news that day. That was really interesting.
So when he arrived, Ben immediately told me that I was not allowed to cover the event. And when I asked him repeatedly why, he said it's because of the actions of one of our morning show hosts on WTDY, Sly in the Morning.
Sly. Dylan explains to me that progressive talk show host Sly in the Morning has no control over WTDY's news coverage at all.
He's not to come in. Okay. You can stand here and keep recording our little argument here.
No, we're gonna.
That's all we're gonna
just
do.
ask you to leave.
Well, I would need to be escorted out because I'm not.
Okay.
Excellent, that's what I mean, why am I being kicked out for?
Because you operate with no integrity.
Okay, I gotta.
You were protesting.
I was not
Your organization.
protesting.
You're guilty by association then.
Oh my God! That guy is a dick! I would occasionally take a break from politics and talk about movies with my brother Jeremy. My favorite of ours that we've done is the top 5 movie flops.
This featured such people as Frankie Howard, George Burns, Steve Martin, Earth, Wind and Fire, Aerosmith,
I know
Alice
this.
Cooper, Paul Nicholas, Donald Pleasance, Billy Preston, and starred Peter Frampton, and the Bee Gees. This would be
Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. An awful movie.
1978. 1978.
Then there was the farewell interview with founder of Dane101, Jesse Russell. It was his last interview before leaving Madison and moving to San Fran. That one hurt.
The nature of the city allowed me to create and build things, and it's the fact that so many people were willing to come to my events and share my vision that I was able to do all that, and so I'm incredibly thankful.
We put together a 4-part panel discussion. It was probably the smartest, most intellectual show we've done, and that's because I didn't talk much.
Certainly in my experience as a reporter, being out in the field working with other reporters, I find that generally, yes, most reporters have political beliefs. Anybody that doesn't have political beliefs is not taking a stake in the process.
We think that the right of eligible citizens to cast ballot is one of the most fundamental rights in our democracy.
So, but you put those two together, and they have absolutely dragged their parties to the brink of not being able to have middle.
And I realize it might be a left-wing blog that is telling them that Scott Walker is evil, and he's just here to destroy. It's like, no, he has a different policy.
He isn't?
Was it?
He isn't? I'm just joking. Go ahead.
He's just here to destroy your life.
That might be on my blog, actually. Anyway, let me just throw out a few thank yous. I'm going to use my sheet so this goes really fast. Thanks to Ann Althouse. While some people on the left despise her, she was the first person to give me some real exposure. Thanks, Ann. As I stated in the interview, thanks to Zach and the rest of the Blogging Blue crew, like Ed and Lisa. And then, of course, the Dane101 editors, Jesse Russell, Christine Taylor, and Sarah Bartash. And of course, my brother Jeremy for co-hosting and watching all the episodes. Of course, thanks to my special lady, Martha, for letting me do these ridiculous videos and using all her costumes and other valuable shit that she owns. Of course, she's frightened a little bit by me doing these episodes. She recently stated, quote, "I try not to pay attention or listen to what you're doing in the office. It's better that way." Yeah, it probably is. I want to say thanks to my parents for watching every episode, even though at times I have a filthy mouth. Just awful things come out of here. And also for watching it, even though you would emphatically disagree with a good amount of it. So I really, really, truly appreciate that. Thanks, Mom and Dad. Love you. And I want to thank you, the people that are watching this that aren't related to me. I know there's a few regulars out there, so thank you very much on a regular basis, paying attention and watching. And thanks to those who just swung by and even gave it a chance, and maybe it wasn't your bag, and that's all right. I also want to thank those who disagree with me that watch this. That does happen, and I know I have some conservative friends that watch it, so thank you very much, and I give you so much credit for that. Okay, so what's next? Well, what's next is radio. Dylan Brogan, who I just mentioned, he's a reporter. He was Sly in the Morning's old producer, and he's starting up an internet radio station called The Fountain. And he asked if I wanted to do an hour-long radio show, which will end up being also a podcast. It'll still be called Rants Without Pants. Every episode will have a theme. We will have an interview, and it'll have a movie of the week and other kind of silly segments, and it'll all tie into whatever the theme is. But I will be recording the show pantsless. I promise you that. The podcast will be posted on shabhead.blogspot.com, Blogging Blue, and of course the Fountain's website, or else you could just stream it live when it's aired. Anyway, I hope you follow me over there. Now I put together a little goodbye video with the help of Peter Cetera, Who else? Who else do you call? Anyways, here it is. My final video. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Just like always, God bless you, God bless Wisconsin, and God bless these United States of America. Thanks for watching.